Welcome to your favorite legal podcast. This podcast is powered by STNZ Legal. Let's dive into today's topic. Today we will talk about the legal steps which shall be taken for importing vehicles to Turkey. Think of this podcast as an introduction for your business and always look for trustable professionals to comply with all necessary requirements for your specific conditions. First step is to obtain the type approval certification. Type approval certifications are required in order to be able to sell the imported vehicles in Turkey. Please consider this as the most important requirement to be completed before all steps. There are two types of type approval certifications valid in Turkey, which are EC Type Approval Certificate and National Type Approval Certificate. EC Type Approval Certificate is issued by the EU approval bodies. It is valid in EU countries and in Turkey. National Type Approval Certificate is the type approval certificate that is regulated in the national legislation and whose validity is limited to the Turkey borders. Applications can be made online and according to the explanations made by the Turkish Standards Institution, type approval certification applications are evaluated between 2 to 7 days, and yet some delays are possible due to the application documents. Second step is to comply with the regulation on the type approval, market surveillance, and inspection of that specific type of vehicle. Regulations, which you shall comply with, change depending on the type of vehicle you are planning to import. There are many regulations, but most of these regulations are reflections of the related regulations in the European Union. Names of the related EU regulation are also mentioned in the titles of the similar Turkish regulations. Please don't forget that some of the requirements are production requirements, that is why you shall be careful about the products that you are choosing to import. Third step is to take tax and customs consultancy. While calculating custom tariffs, basically the following 3 points are taken into consideration. These points are classification of the good, origin of the good, and customs value of the good. Please do not forget custom tariffs are not the only tax that will be paid during the import. Even importing a vehicle on which radio is attached can cause some additional taxes. Please consider taking customs and tax consultancy services from a tax and customs consultant who is specialized specifically in vehicles. This is a very technical and complicated area, which is why taking a service from a professional will make it safer for the future and easier to understand the tax incentives as well. In case of doubt, apply to the Ministry of Commerce in writing to take written opinion to your specific questions. Fourth step is to comply with the obligation to establish after-sales service stations. According to the After-Sales Services Regulation in Turkey, the manufacturers or importers are under the obligation to establish authorized service stations in Turkey to be able to sell vehicles in Turkey. Producers or importers may establish authorized service stations themselves or benefit from already established service stations or service organizations. The number of services, which you should establish in 7 geographical regions in Turkey, changes depending on the type of vehicle you are importing. The manufacturers or importers are under the obligation to obtain an after-sales service qualification certificate approved by the Turkish Republic Ministry of Trade. Your after-sales services shall also fully comply with requirements of the After-Sales Services Regulation while providing after-sales services. All in all, these are the 4 main steps to be completed in order to import and sell vehicles in Turkey. As we mentioned too many times above, the good that you are importing may also require some additional steps to be completed. That is why it is crucial to work closely with the legal consultants together with tax and customs consultants specialized in that specific good you are importing. For more information, please check www.stnzlegal.com.